Frazier and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called the Barbershop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, y'all. It's a brand new episode of this week's Barbershop Sports Talk podcast. You can find us live on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, on Twitter, on Instagram as well, and on our Twitch channel as well. It's the homie Trey Frazier, and that's the homie Maestro Styles.
Yes, sir.
What
yes,
up?
Sir.
What up? What's going on, fam?
What's good, man? You know, I realized you got a habit of doing the Birdman hands outside of the camera when you start the show. It just made me laugh.
Got you. I thought it was something.
You can hear it in the mic.
I thought it was something I said for a minute there. I was like, "Oh, all right, I must have did something. I must keep saying something that I probably shouldn't be saying." But you know,
it's just funny how your tendencies. Just that's all. That's
what happens, man. That's what happens when you start a show off once a week. But I'm good, man. I'm cooling. How about you?
I can't complain. I am praying that no nonsense happens during this podcast on my in my personal life situations. That's all I'll say. But if it does, I promise to handle it as. I don't know. Depends on how crazy it gets. But I'm praying I'm praying that it just don't happen at all.
Well, I will be prepared to go
and
solo.
That everything works out.
You got to dip out somehow. I'll be prepared.
It'll be a quick. You'll just see me go blank.
Everybody
listening, apologies. You'll just see.
See him next week.
You'll randomly see my screen going out. I mean, it might not be that long. I'm just saying. You know, it might not be that long. You'll just see me randomly, my screen going blank, and like we'll take it as we'll call it technical difficulties.
No doubt. Yeah, man. Good show tonight. We got a guest coming on from the NBC Sports Bay Area network. Zena Keita covers the Golden State Warriors, and she's also covering the new Golden State Valkyries WNBA team. So she's going to come on with us in about 30 minutes and just kind of talk Warriors, the new WNBA team, also get into a little bit of the NBA Finals. And congrats to the OKC Thunder on winning their first NBA title in Oklahoma City. They do count the Sonics title from way back when, but this will be the first one in OKC for them. So shout outs to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Finals MVP. Shout out to Alex Caruso, who's got a second NBA Finals ring. And to the rest of the crew, man. Number one seed, 68 wins in the regular season. Had some trials and tribulations in that Nugget series, and even in this one, for that matter, with the Pacers series. But, they did what they always do. What they've done in the regular season is that turn defense into offense, which is what happened in that third quarter in Game 7. And, they won pulling away.
Yeah, that's what's up. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm not going to tell a lie. I was very uncomfortable in the ride home from New York Sunday, and I didn't see the game. I'm just going to be honest with you, because because you're my man's in real life. It was a very uncomfortable ride home from New York, and the last thing I wanted to do was have to knock some foreigner out behind me, him trying to sleep and me fighting for space to be comfortable so I can watch the game. One of them. Yeah, I got home at like 12:30 in the morning. I was so frustrated and irritated with how things went. But I'm home. Everything is safe. I slept it away yesterday. We good.
Yeah. And I guess just to kind of recap and for folks wondering what we're talking about here, we took that trip to NYC.
You ain't have to. You ain't have to switch. We was gonna get to the game. You ain't have to switch it out.
I
We could
was
have.
gonna start with this actually. This was my intention, and it
Okay.
just
Okay.
somehow got to the final stuff. But and
Gotcha.
when the guest comes on, we'll rap with her about some finals content also. But I did want to start with our trip to NYC to Fanatics Fest, which was a 3-day event, but we only went for Sunday for about 3-4 hours. And yeah, I would say the bus trip, at least for me personally, the bus trip up there was more interesting than the ride back home. I won't get into much of that, but I think what's most interesting for me to kind of start off with. So your bus was 10 minutes behind mine's, and I got off. I waited for you in the lobby about 10-15 minutes, lobby at a bus station that is, so we could.
Oh, you talking
Yeah,
about
getting
getting
there.
there?
So your bus was about 10 minutes behind mine. So I waited for you at the bus station so we could just hop the 7 train one stop to the Javits Center. And the one notification that popped up on your phone as we're walking to the gate is the Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets, which was kind of interesting because Kevin Durant was in the building at the Javits Center doing a podcast with Taylor Rooks at the time. We missed their segment overall because we got there late, but just to find that out and to find out what their compensation was. So it was what, 5 second round unprotected picks?
The Rockets got uh, Katie to the Rockets for a 10th
Yep,
pick. In tonight's draft, actually, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and five
yep,
second rounders.
yep. With tomorrow's draft, it's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow. I'm
Okay,
sorry. I'm
okay. Are you
sorry. I'm
about to
sorry.
make me flip a TV on when I
Yeah.
wouldn't intended to?
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
tomorrow.
Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green goes to Phoenix in that package. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, immediate thoughts on that trade?
Um, Overcompensation, man. With all due respect to KD, who I consider, who is my favorite player right now. Even though Anthony Edwards is kind of creeping up on him, just passing the torch, so to speak. KD's getting up there in age. Um, but I can't. Okay, the first rounder, the first
Yep.
rounder. I get
Hmm.
that. Uh, Jalen Green, I understand that,
Yep.
and Dylan Brooks, I understand. That I
Hmm.
understand. 5 second rounders after all that other conversation seems like a bit much to me. To me,
Well, Phoenix needed something because they was going nowhere with what they had. No first rounders, you know, just no compensation for them.
I did not think about the. I did not to cut you off, but I did not think about the Phoenix side of it. And you're right in the fact that they don't have a lot of draft capital
Hmm.
at all with all the stuff that they have been doing over the past two
Yeah.
or three years. So I guess I can understand them. Well, I mean, the Rockets would have still had to give it
Hmm.
up, but I could understand them asking for such, asking for it. I mean, it's second round picks. The Rockets are a pretty young team, so it's not like they super trying to build in the draft per
Yeah.
se. So it's like get the guy that you feel like is going to get you to take the next step, and I guess, and I could respect the Rockets, just saying this is what we want. What do we got to do to get it? But I mean, I guess from the outside looking in, that still seems like a lot to me.
It does. And I think if you're the Phoenix Suns, I think, and there's been reports out there that Kevin Durant wanted to go to Houston and didn't want
Hmm.
to go. I know we labeled like 2 other destinations.
San Antonio was another
Yeah, I
team.
know there were.
Which, by the way, I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea of him going to San Antonio more than I do him going to
Right,
Houston.
because
But
the
you
people
know,
around him are better than what would have been in
right?
Houston. But Houston is still a good roster, and I think he adds a lot
Yeah.
more to what the Rockets can do. But I think because he told dudes, hey, this is where I want to go, I think the compensation probably made it easier for Phoenix to be able to, well, not Phoenix, for Houston to, give up what they're willing to give up.
What they want
So
to give
that
up.
means had there been a true competition for KD, that package would have been more than what it was. when you sit back and really
Hmm.
think about it.
Well, I mean, unless you think that Phoenix really cared about what KD wanted. Sure, maybe they did, but I would lean towards they didn't really care. I'm sure maybe they'd
Yeah,
consider
of
it, but I
course.
mean, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. It's you just another cog in the business wheel, so to speak. So it's like, all right, yeah, you might have wanted to go to Houston, or you might have wanted to go to San
Yeah.
Antonio. But at the end of the day, we're going to pick what's best for us, and not only compensation wise, but how we have to deal with you in the regular season, or the playoffs
Hmm.
maybe, or that
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So, um,
That sounded like that was
I
happening
get
either
it.
way. I don't think he was coming east. I mean, given the locations that he gave to Phoenix Suns to choose from, it didn't seem like there was no way he was coming east.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, even if he wasn't going east, I mean, if Phoenix believes they're a playoff team, they may have to deal with
Right.
the
But
Rockets.
that's my
You know what I'm
point. That's
saying?
why I say I don't think he was going east. So for the Phoenix Suns to think about, damn, like we got to deal with you, then they were going to deal with him one way or another because he was
But
staying in
who
the
do you
West.
rather? But who do you? Sure, but who do you think they would rather deal with? Phoenix. I'm sorry, Houston with KD or San Antonio with KD.
Honestly,
My answer is the
honestly,
Rockets.
I mean, like you said before, you like them better with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. I mean, that's that. I mean, that's probably a worse. If you're Phoenix, you probably don't want to face him in San Antonio versus facing him
Right.
with the Rockets. So
With the Rockets, younger team, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? They don't have a 7'6" guy over there.
yeah,
So you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly,
They don't have a
exactly.
so I mean, look, congratulations to KD if that's what he wanted. I don't know if that's what he
I
wanted, but
think he
like I
wanted.
said, he
I
did
think he
mention
wanted
that
Houston.
he did mention that that was one of the
Yeah,
stops he wanted to be. That was one of the stops he wanted to potentially go to. So, congrats to him. Congrats to Phoenix. This. I mean, Houston was already a playoff team. I do think this makes them a better team than they were last year on paper.
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to
yeah,
them. Shout out to the Rockets. Shout out to KD. Shout
for
out to
sure.
Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix gets in, and they're on a small. This is a small step to rebuilding it.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure, for sure. And just quickly on the Houston side of it, um, kind of like I think we looked at Durant when he went to Phoenix. I was always of the opinion that if Phoenix was ever going to win a championship with those three guys there, that Book was going to have to be the guy. I think it's different now with Kevin Durant going to Phoenix now, and Sengun is a good player, and I know he was the best player on the Rockets last year, but now that changes because of his position and because of what KD, um, the element that KD brings to the Rockets now. So for
mm-hmm,
me,
mm-hmm.
this is Kevin Durant's team. Like he's like number one op. Like
Yeah.
this is his thing.
Yeah,
It's
no
yep,
question. I mean, they gave away the guy who they felt like could possibly, turn into a number one guy in
yep,
Jalen Green. So yeah, it's no question. It's no question. And Katie has a good supporting cast around him. I don't know if it's the best he's had. In fact, I'm
no,
sure
it's
it's
definitely
not.
not.
But it's a good supporting cast. They're gonna allow him to score when he wants to score. He ain't got to worry about having to share the ball when he's ready to do what he
Yep,
does best, and that's score. So I do think the Rockets will be a more interesting team to watch than maybe they were last year. Because of KD, they got a guy that they know is capable of closing a game and showing up, unlike Jalen Green did in his past playoffs against the
yeah,
Rockets. I mean the
yeah,
Warriors. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Just kind of back to the Fanatics Fest, experience. Um, some dope athletes we got to see in person: Carl Anthony Towns, Mike Vick, Tom Brady. I still don't like Tom Brady, but the fact that it was cool to see
And
him.
let's keep it and let's
Yep.
keep it a buck. We walked away when he came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I just was, nigga. I was just taking footage. That's it. I
Yeah.
wasn't really interested in what they had to talk about. Shout out Kevin Hart, Peter Rosenberg, Michael Rubin, owner of the Fanatics, Fest, and great job putting this whole thing together. But yeah, I wasn't interested in what they were talking about. I just wanted to get the footage of the guys coming out, and we kind of had to bounce after that.
Right. So let's talk
But
about let's talk about the interesting
yes,
shit.
yes,
Let's talk
yeah,
about the interesting shit. Let's
yeah,
talk about Canelo versus Bud Crawford. I'm going to assume that this was your first boxing press conference, like it was mine. Yes.
yes, sir, yes, sir,
Yes. So this is our first experience as a podcast seeing a boxing press conference live.
yeah,
What was your overall? I'll say before I let you give your take. I'll say for
yep,
certain them lights were different. I was not. I mean, I guess you see it on TV and you see the lights, but to see the lights, I guess in
in
person,
person.
them lights hit totally different, bro.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this is some
it
fly
was a
shit,
show.
and we
It was a
definitely
show.
we definitely need to work on getting to boxing matches more often.
Yeah. So that part I didn't even think about, but you make a good point. Like getting to more boxing press conferences. I kind of like that idea.
Oh, I meant boxing matches in general, but yeah, that too.
Yeah. So at first we didn't think we was getting in, right? Because we're walking down to the lower level, level one, and it's long ass line, and I'm like, yo, I do not feel like standing for this amount of time. Hey, we just gonna have to see how this thing shapes out. So then they open the doors to the theater, crowd starts rushing in. Me and you was like, yo, let's hey,
And I mean
let's
literally,
roll.
let's
Let's
be
roll.
clear, literally rushing in. There were people running to
hmm
get in as if to try to make sure they got seats.
Yep. Yep. And at that point, I didn't care about a seat, even though I
Yeah,
would have liked to have had one. But at that
yeah,
point, I didn't care. I told you, I said, "Yo, let's go. Let's roll before they rope this thing off." And we was one of the last few to get in there. And man, folks, I got to tell y'all, if y'all ever get an opportunity to witness a boxing press conference slash face off, go do it. It's one of the coolest things. It's one of the greatest vibes and atmospheres to be around. You mentioned the lighting. That was pretty cool. It was like a whole show. It was like a
yeah,
whole like production of a TV show. And to witness that, for the first time was amazing. Shout out to Max Kellerman, who came from under a rock for
yeah,
like the first time in a couple of years since the network layoff and all that.
yeah.
So
Shout
he's
out
going
to
to
Max
be doing
Kellerman.
the fight, right? He's
hmm
doing like calling the fight, right? So
Yeah, he's doing some. He's covering it in some capacity. Yeah,
yep, yep. So yeah, shout out to him. There's fights on Netflix if I'm not mistaken.
yep.
Yeah, they getting money too. So
September
when it comes to
13th.
sports, yep, yep. Yeah, man. Look, you said it on the IG live. Yo, I think Bud's gonna get in them. Pause. I just don't think Canelo know what's coming to him, man. This fight is overdue. It's long overdue in my opinion, and I think in many other folks' opinions. But um, I thought the back and forth could have been a little bit more spicier. I didn't like some of the questions that some of the media that was there had the opportunity to ask questions did. I just thought it was a bit too modest. I thought it should have been a little bit more spicy, but we was waiting for the real like face off. Like we was waiting for that, shoving each other around and all that stuff. We was waiting for that part. So that was dope to see that.
Yeah, I thought I saw the face off on Instagram earlier today. Just to see
hmm
it. As opposed to because I'm only 5'7" and can't see over a crowd of people. So when it happened, I was looking through your camera phone as you was trying to you was reaching trying to see it. So I
Yeah.
did, but it didn't look as spicy as it.
Arm's still hurting.
I guess the energy of the crowd had me a little hyped up. So when they got the shuffling a little bit, I was a little hyped to actually see it shuffle. But when I saw it on
Yeah.
on, on tape, it didn't look as exciting as it did in the building.
hmm
I'll say this. I did. I mean, I don't know why I didn't realize there was going to be a lot of people rooting for Canelo, but that was definitely a Canelo room. That press conference was
Oh, for
definitely a
sure.
Canelo room.
Oh, for sure.
Um, but he the champ. You know, he the champ in his
Hmm.
class. You know what I'm saying? The very first thing I noticed, as accomplished as Bud Crawford is, when his table looked away,
Hmm.
and then Canelo's you like couldn't clearly you could tell who was the champion and who was the challenger based on the way the table looked. Um, with all that being said, I stand on it, and then a couple of black folk in the back with us was kind of shouting similar things.
Hmm.
Yeah, Canelo about to get that work. Canelo about to get that work. I can't wait to see it. Um, I'm never sleeping on Bud again. I mean, I don't really care for Bud's answers. Like I feel like he could have, been a little more slicker with his shit talk. But
Hmm.
but he came to do a job, man, and I trust he's going to do the job. But the press conference, it was very, very good to have that first experience.
Walking in that room and seeing the different crowds, one side rooting for Canelo, the other side rooting for Bud, and the tension. Like I felt tension in that room,
Mm-hmm.
as if it was, forget the face off on stage. Like niggas around us looked like it felt like, niggas wanted to get it on. Pause. Like it felt like, a race war. Like a true race war. It certainly felt like that. So energy was real high in there.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, that was definitely the highlight of the day for me. For sure, I mean, like by a long shot, that was the highlight of the day for me being in that press conference.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dana White, who was doing that, promoting that fight.
Yep.
His first boxing match actually. So shout out to him doing his first boxing match. And shout out, I don't want to mess up this rich guy's name, so I'm not going to say it, but y'all know who it is. The rich guy
He
in
getting
Abu
money.
Dhabi, who shows up with his slides on, and hey, shout out to him. That boy getting money, and I ain't mad.
Yeah, yeah. So he's the promoter next
He's
to
the
Dana
cash
White.
cow. I wouldn't call him
Yeah.
the promoter. He's the cash cow.
Hmm.
He's going to be the person that um, financially gets these fights put together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. But if I had to take away some things that I learned from the experience, for me personally, number one, I do wish that this happened on another weekend. And shout out to Natalie, who had a hip hop dance recital on Saturday, which was the main reason that I couldn't go on multiple days. Because of that, she had practice the night before, which was also the first night of
Hmm.
Fanatics. So I couldn't do Friday and Saturday. So I wish this was a different weekend, but hopefully next year we get to experience multiple days of this event. And shout out to whoever it was I retweeted the other day, but they said something very profound. And it was along the lines of, hey, the more that you kind of be there, like within the presence of, you know, all these athletes and all these media members and stuff like that, is just another reminder of how far away you have to go in terms of
Hmm.
what you're chasing. And I thought what he said was really profound because, I think you and I can relate. Like we are, we are chasing something. We are trying to level up, from what we're doing. And so, a lot of the inspiration that we witnessed, there on stage, certainly was a reminder of, like, we certainly have some better intentions next year when we attend this thing, on a higher scale.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, we want to be. We don't want to just be a spectator. We don't
Yep.
want to just be spectators. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. We got a lot of work to do and a long way to go to get there. But we let's do what we gotta do, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Anything else from Fanatics Fest you got to get off
Nah,
your shirt?
nah. And you and I agree the press conference was by far and away the dopest thing out of everything
And obviously, we
that
was
we
only
were
there
in.
for a few hours, so
Yeah, right. We was only there 3 hours, so there wasn't you really get to see much or experience much. But for me as a Knicks fan, to see Karl Anthony Towns in person was dope. To see that, despite there wasn't really much for us to kind of witness. He was just up there doing autographs and giving out basketball cards and things like that. So I think for it to be in the city that it's in, and for him to represent the Knicks, and for the crowd to kind of weigh in to witness that, for me was pretty cool as well.
yeah. Shout out to him. Shout out to Cat. Shout out to Carl Anthony Towns.
Yep, yep, no doubt. Just quickly, just kind of back to the finals. Get well soon, Tyrese Halliburton. I honestly didn't think this was going to happen. Um, in the back of my mind, because he played Game 6. And you and I think we talked about it when we were walking through the
Yeah,
convention,
man.
that
I'm definitely gonna
it
have to walk
looked
that
like
back.
he
That was
didn't
a
look like
terrible
he
take
was.
there.
Yeah, yeah. It certainly didn't look like he was hurt at all. But look, those kinds of stats never lie. When you have a calf strain, more times than not, as much pressure as you put on it, eventually the Achilles is going to go. Happened to Kevin Durant, happened to Jason Tatum, it happened to Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys. I don't know. Hopefully this is not a trend, because now you're looking at an Eastern Conference where um, those three teams going into next year are going to be highly affected by not having those guys, for almost a full year.
Well, I would hope that teams know that when these things happen, man. I get it. It's the finals, bro. So if you're going to put it all on the line, the finals is the time to do it. But
Hmm.
I mean, you might want to start exercising caution when you're getting these specific injuries. If you know the trend is that these injuries, calf injuries, a
Yeah.
lot of times end up becoming Achilles injuries. So
Hmm.
it's like I get it. I couldn't take nothing from Halliburton if I wanted to. Like the fact that he played through that, good or bad, he played through it. And had the game 6 he had, and I mean he tried to go in game 7. Like I respected that he would. It's the finals. It's put up a shut up. It's a game 7. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got to be there. You got to try to help your team win the championship. So I can respect it. I don't have a bad thing to say about Halliburton. What I will say is I am left I am left to wonder how that series would have went. And again, I picked the Thunder to win it, and I picked the Thunder to
Yep.
win it in 7. So my prediction was right. But I do wonder how what that game would have looked like if Halliburton didn't get hurt.
And for more context, he knocked down three pointers
Uh
and
huh.
was kind of on a hot
On
streak
a run, yeah,
until
yeah,
that thing gave away. So I think it's a legitimate question to ask. Although for me, looking back at it, I still feel like the Pacers throughout this series, the one thing that has been like their no pun intended Achilles heel is the turnovers,
yeah,
and they happened again in the third quarter. Respect to the Pacers for keeping it close after he went down. It was a 1 point game at halftime, and look, I ain't gonna front. I thought the Pacers was gonna win. I
yeah.
was like, oh, they gonna do it for Halliburton. They playing hard. They gonna do this for him. Third quarter told a different story, man, and it was up as much as 20, I think. And um, I said, yeah, this is over. This is a wrap. They did as much as they could.
Yeah.
But game 7 in the finals, I mean, that's all you can ask for.
Who's gonna scoff at that? Who's gonna
Yeah,
scoff at that? Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And
No,
for the people that are saying, Halliburton should have sat, it's game 7 of the
it's
finals.
game 7 of the finals, man.
And I like what Wilbon said earlier today. He said, "Look, do the Pacers have any banners up in them rafters? Hell yeah, he gonna play to try to put one up there.
Yeah.
So, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you
I don't
can't
blame
be
him one bit.
mad. You can't be mad at that at all. You can't be mad at him in a game 7 of the championship trying to will himself and that team to
Yeah,
victory, bro. That makes like to people who are saying that. Look, I can certainly understand your concern, but it's not a whole bunch of people or a whole bunch of teams rather that make the finals with an opportunity to win it in a game 7, bro. These are one in a lifetime type situations, and you should respect it as such.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. So our guest is here. So let's bring in Miss Zena. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce y'all to Miss Zena Keita, TV analyst for the NBC Sports Network in the Bay Area, covers the Golden State Warriors and also covers the new, improved, and surprising Golden State Valkyries. So, Zena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. First of all, how are you doing? How's everything?
I'm well. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to join. Also surprising. We're going to have to get into that. I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised by the Valkyries right
Okay,
now.
I
We're
like
going
that
to dive into
energy.
it.
I love that energy. I love that. I love that. So, so first, let's we just want to kind of get to know the guests a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, just briefly, because I first saw you on Brother from Another a
Mm,
couple years ago. You made
yep.
some appearances on there, and I caught on to your content, started following you, and found out that you covered the Warriors and everything like that. So, um, take me back to like a little bit of your journey,
Mm.
your journalism background and how you got started, how you became a sports fan, and how'd you come into this business?
Yeah, I have a very unorthodox journalism story. Didn't go to journalism school. It wasn't something that I did particularly during college. I did do some play by play for our volleyball team. I worked on our multimedia desk at Yale Daily News, but it wasn't like I know I'm going to be a journalist when I leave school. I actually was just scared about making money.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
so I went straight into business school and I was like, let me figure out what my skills are. What do I offer? I played basketball. I wasn't really good, but I was also really smart and I really love sports. And so I was like, how can I match this? How can I make this work? And so I went to Wake Forest Business School with the intention of figuring out how can I get my skills to a sports team, sports business, whatever. Ended up working with the Miami Dolphins. I sold tickets for them. Then I went into their partnerships arm and learned the whole partnerships game, was a part of their Hard Rock Stadium
Okay.
rebirth after Sun Life Arena, I think it was. Woo, throwback.
before they
Yeah, a
put the
while
roof
ago, yeah,
Uh,
on.
about to say.
Right,
Before they
before
put
they
the
put the
roof on
roof
the
on.
joint. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was a part of all of that, and that was really, really cool, and that actually helped me kinda get the next job, which was getting the job at the Warriors because the Warriors were having a new arena that was being built, obviously Chase Center. So I
Yep.
came to help, bring all the partners that were in my portfolio over to Chase Center, and that was kind of the impetus for me to come over to the Bay, and I've been in the Bay ever since. Worked with the partnerships team at the Warriors through the pandemic. And then in the pandemic, switched over because I was like, I really want to do something different. I want to still be in sports, but I've only been on team side in the NFL, the NBA. I want to do something different. And I always had this affinity to the media. And so that's when I left to do partnerships and help start up the partnerships arm at the Athletic, which is now the New York Times' sports arm. So help build that partnerships team and build it out. We went through the acquisition from the New York Times. And while I was there, I was at home. Y'all know COVID had all of us kind of reflecting, who am I? What am I doing? Am I on
Mm-hmm.
the right path? All the above. And that led me to being like, you know what? I have always wanted to talk sports. I've always wanted to talk for a job, but I always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk sports in general and specifically. And so while I was at the Athletic, I began being a sideline reporter for Santa
Okay.
Cruz, the
Okay.
G League team. And that has now just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled into more opportunities with NBC Sports Bay Area. And now working with CBS out here covering the Valkyries.
Nice,
Yes,
nice. Now,
indeed.
you're
Yes,
originally
indeed.
from the East Coast,
I am North Carolina.
North
Okay.
Carolina. Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what's
So,
up. That's what's up.
Yep.
That's what's up. Okay, so I want to get into the finals first. Let's talk the
Okay.
finals. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about the finals. How do you feel about the obviously OK Oklahoma City Thunder winning against the Pacers
Mm.
4-3? What's your overall take on the win? How you feel about it?
I love that, OKC came out victorious. I hate for them that there is now this like idea that there is an asterisk on this championship
Mm-hmm.
because of Tyrese Halliburton getting hurt. Because the thing about it is, if you looked at OKC all season long, you would have seen everything you needed to see to know that this team was going to be a championship team. I also, on top of working on TV, I do podcasting and I work with the NBA Daily at The Athletic. When we went to the NBA Cup and OKC lost in the NBA
Mm-hmm.
Cup,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I vividly remember watching OKC and the way they came around each other. Because that game was kind of physical too. It had some moments throughout that game. And I remember just how much they had each other's backs. I remember how much they how long they had stayed in the locker room and they were with each other around in the locker room. We were out on the court doing our show hours after they finished and they were all coming out together. There was a camaraderie and a true team in a way that you would see like in your high school team or AAU team. Like they had this like brotherhood that was so visceral. You could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying on that episode, I was like, I'm gonna call it right now. It was like my first hot take of the show. I was like, OKC's gonna win it all. And it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be because of the fact that they can play defense. It's gonna be because
Mm-hmm.
they have all of these various tools in the ways that they can score. They have a guy, but they have a ton of different ways in which they can attack someone. But it's also going to be because I haven't seen anyone be this tight. This is a team that if they go low, if something happens, they get blown out, they lose a game, they have the fortitude to come back as brothers and be like, let's get this done. Let's
Yeah.
figure this out. And so I knew that that was going to happen when they got to game 7. We saw the game 7 against Denver in the series prior to that.
Yeah.
You
Right.
knew that they were capable of blowing somebody out on a game 7. And so I just hated that the game started like this and is all anyone could think about. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course
Yeah.
OKC won. Tyrese wasn't available. It's like, no, like even if Tyrese was available, that game was going to be hard, but I think
Yeah.
OKC would have been able to pull it out. And so I'm happy they
Yeah.
won. I hate it had to be like this.
It's the thing that, and I was just telling Maestro this, is that the Thunder won this game the way they've been winning games the entire season, and that
Yeah.
is turning the other team over, making them sloppy, and then turning that
Yep.
defense into offense. They've done it a couple
Period.
of times in this series, and they've done it
Exactly.
throughout this regular season. So I think if Halliburton was still there, you're right, Zena, it would have been tough. I'll acknowledge that before he hurt his Achilles, and prayers to him again,
Mm.
he hit 3 3-pointers. He
He
was
was
he
on
was going
fire.
on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yes. He was feeling himself. He was talking out there too. So there
Yeah.
was this energy coming from them regardless of where they were at. And so I
yeah.
knew it was going to be a good game. And then anyways, we don't have to get into it. Like you said, prayers up to Hallie, but if anything, again, the way that the OKC Thunder, like how they walked out of the arena, they weren't even celebrating. They weren't even like this team. They're going to enjoy themselves. Of course, they're going to celebrate this, but they are so ready and locked and loaded to go do this again, just to prove to people that this
Mhm.
wasn't a fluke. This wasn't something that can't happen again. Like people are going to recalibrate, trying to figure out how to beat a team like this now. A young team, like you said, somebody that can turn you over. But at the end of the day, I also want to give credit and big credit to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because not only was he scoring, it was the playmaking.
Yeah.
12 assists
Mm-hmm.
in a game 7.
Game 7.
Like,
Yeah.
it was masterful. It was masterful. And so again, it would have been a good game regardless because Tyrese was talking that ass. He was feeling
Yeah.
himself.
He was in his bag for
But
sure.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I picked the Thunder in 7 before the series started, and I gotta admit that I've caught backlash throughout the regular season for saying, look, I just don't know if they're ready yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit
Yeah.
here. I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, I was with him, riding with him the whole time. I was literally made a fan after the Denver series. I was like, you know what? This team, I got to back up. This team might really got what it takes to take it all the way. And as a matter of fact, by the time they beat the Denver Nuggets, I said they're going to win the championship. That's where I at with it. And by the time we, as this Knicks fan, as he's not wearing his Knicks gear, You
It's the off
know,
season.
it's the off season. Okay. You know, I told him, I told him, you know, look, we had I thought the Knicks were going to the finals. So when they definitely when they didn't go to the finals, I said, okay, OKC got it. But even if the Knicks win, I was like, okay, OKC is going to get it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just at the end of the day, I'm in the playoffs. I'm big on names. So like I'm big on who's the star, who's going to put it on their back and take it over. Like Halliburton has been on a hell of a run this playoffs, but at the end of the day, it's 22 points and 10 assists. It ain't 30 and 7. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I don't believe he could put it on his back. He's hit game winners. He deserves all the credit he's getting. But I'm big on point guards generally aren't the guys that take over games. They have too many other responsibilities on the court. So for that reason alone, and then when you talk about him and then talk about SGA on the Thunder side, and then you got to deal with if Jalen Williams decide he want to turn up, that's going to be too much. This is going to be too much. And I said it to Trey earlier in the series. It's like, who do you believe more? Secondary scorers? Do you believe Jalen Williams more? Do you believe Pascal Siakam more? I'm more of a Jalen Williams guy. I know he's been spotty in the playoffs, but I'm more of a Jalen Williams guy over Pascal Siakam. But we definitely want to take the time to say get well for Halliburton and everybody in this playoffs who, you know, we've seen the curse of the zeros going on this playoffs. So
which is crazy. That is a crazy
so
stat.
crazy and random that it worked out like that. But wait, Maestro, I want to talk really quickly to what you just mentioned about the role of Hallie versus the Shea and having a guy, right? I asked this question of like, this is going to be a series to determine, does it matter if you have a guy or do you have guys? And I feel like, you know, Shea had a guy, and I mean, OKC had a guy in Shea, but they just happened to have also J-Dub step up.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, as you mentioned, he was spotty. And it wasn't until like the third game of that Indiana series that he turned it all the way up.
Yeah.
He just consistently got better night in, night out. And that was something that people were not counting on for OKC, and they were a little concerned. We saw the struggles that Chet Holmgren was having, because that's really like their big three, right?
Yeah.
We saw the struggles that Chet Holmgren was having offensively, so people were a little bit concerned. So I don't think it was out of character for, you know, questions to arise about what OKC could do. I think what was nice about Indiana was that they were pretty steady all the way through their playoff appearance about having guys, because it wasn't always Tyrese, right? How many times did we have third quarter TJ McConnell? Right. Of course, Pascal Siakam shows up. There were so many different.
Ben Mathurin can drop 20.
Right. Ben Mathurin has that 27-point game. Like there were so many guys showing up, and so I love that there was this storyline of like, you can get it done in different ways.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it came down to having a guy, and then the second guy became a guy too.
Okay.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, he stepped up all the way too. And so, and it became, as you mentioned, too much to handle.
Just flat out too much to handle. It's like, and it's like, okay, with respect to Pascal Siakam being your quote unquote main guy by kind of committee, but then who's after that? Who like Mathurin put up 27, but we talking about Jalen Williams putting up 40 in a game. You know what I'm saying? We talking about, you know, it just hits different when you have a guy, and I get, like, I guess when we talk about the 2004 Pistons where there wasn't a quote unquote guy, but most championship teams there is a guy, and sure, he doesn't put it on every night, but there's a guy who's able to come and facilitate when the guy is off. That's normally the formula. So with respect to the Pacers, we've been talking about this for years. The Pacers hasn't had a guy since Paul George, and Paul George was like, he didn't really have the help he needed and injuries. Obviously,
he didn't have a cast around him.
So you know, it generally, to answer your question, it's a guy, and you got to have a guy, and normally that guy is a 3 or a 2. It's rare that it's a 1. I mean, I guess you could talk about Shaq in the Laker days, but it was still Kobe's team when it was time to turn up in the fourth quarter. You got the ball off of Shaq and you let Kobe kind of do his thing. So it's always going to be that, for me, philosophy wise, always going to be the 3 or the 2. That got to be the guy.
For me, it helps that the Thunder won this championship, and sometimes the path to getting to the championship matters also. And this is not to take away
Mhm.
from the Thunder, but they say, years ago they used to say you got to get, you got to feel some bumps and bruises along the way as a young team. You got to be able to experience pain, to get to where you've got to get to.
Mm.
Memphis, they fired the coach with like 4 games left in the regular season. Nuggets, they fired the coach with like 10 days left, but they still had the Joker. They still had the best
Sure.
player, in the series.
Who might be gone,
I
by the way.
wonder. Oh, I don't want to go there right now.
Right. The association has been on one today. I'm trying to keep up. It's crazy.
Facts.
Yeah.
But as far as like their run though, like I just wonder if they match up against a healthy Warriors team with Steph not getting hurt. I wonder if they go up against a Lakers team with Luka and LeBron being there. I wonder about those things, because when you go up against those veteran type teams, more times than not, the experience wins in some of those early rounds. So I think the fact that they were able to, have the run that they did is great. It's a great one. They don't have to answer those questions about, whether they could get it done or not. They've done that early, when they're aged with this team. So I think that's what's great for them.
I think sometimes when we look at the path to the finals, it is often recency bias. Like we kind of look at the recent path, right? We look at the teams that they went through up until that point. But I think it's also important to realize, like, and I'm not even just saying this for OKC, because OKC was in the Western Conference Finals last year and lost.
That's right.
But Indiana was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, or semis, and lost. So it's like they were close, right? Like they had to experience the heartache of that too. And I do feel like that is part of the journey too, to lose at that point of the season, have to regroup. And that's it. It's all these factors of get these people back on board, add in maybe new faces, right? Incorporate new faces. And OKC had Hartenstein to, bring up to speed. And Indiana, I think like Indiana was, getting Pascal up to board, all the above, but like there's still a lot to grow through to get back all the way to the finals. And so I don't want to discount OKC's path, because you're right. Sweeping at Memphis ain't hard. I get that. I don't want to say, I don't want to discount that the competition early on, at least for OKC, wasn't too difficult. But I will say the journey to even be in a position where you can get to play a Memphis first round, right? Like I think that's
they earned
part
that.
of the journey. They earned that, exactly. So I don't know. I'm always I hear that, and especially as someone that's like new to breaking down the NBA more closely, having worked at the Warriors and being a part of the team on the back-to-back, and knowing all of the things that were happening behind the scenes, the personalities to manage, the egos, the contracts, that's a part of the journey too, right? And keeping all these people on the same page to remember the goal is, yes, I know this person's getting a supermax. I know this person went to go this team and did this and focus. We're right here. Focus. We're right there. I feel like that's part of the journey too. So I do credit them on that aspect too.
Okay, well, let's get into some of your expertise. You cover the Warriors. Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about how you feeling about the Warriors. How do you, I guess, wrap up their season and their future endeavors? I mean, I keep it a buck just to give you a little bit of
sure.
This is their swan song. I mean, obviously we know Dre. I read somewhere that that Draymond is now about to be comfortable coming off the bench, and obviously Steph Curry ain't no spring chicken, even though he's still cooking. He's still
cooking. That brother can still shoot now.
But me and Trey have said this on several occasions. Steph Curry's game translates to he could play to a 45 as long as he's willing to go shoot and run off the ball. And that's all he really be wanting to do. So that later in his career, maybe he won't have to play point as much. But if he's willing to play the Reggie Miller role at his conditioning, he could play for another 6-7 years. But what's your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors? What's their future? Can they win another championship with Steph Curry on this team, in your opinion?
I will never, ever, ever count a team out from a championship conversation if Steph Curry's on the team. He's just he's a magician.
Yeah.
He's a magician. And as you mentioned, he gonna be, if he really wants to, cooking people in the 24-hour fitness until he is 85 years old. Like he just has it always. All your points are valid. This team currently is skewing older.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call them old, but they are older.
Yeah.
Your stars on this team, if you're looking at it, Steph, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, all in their 30s and upper 30s.
Upper 30s,
right?
yeah.
So those are fair points. The way that this team got together February 8th on, meaning when Jimmy Butler joined this
traded
team,
there. Yep.
got traded there, right?
Yep.
The way that they accelerated in such a small window of time makes me always optimistic about imagine what they could do if they had more time. Yeah. If they had an off season, if they had a training camp, they had all the time to really, truly figure it out. Now, what is interesting, and it is the number one cloud, I don't even call it cloud because that sounds sad, but the number one thing that the Warriors have to figure out is Jonathan Kuminga.
Kuminga, yeah. Yep.
Period. You got a 22-year-old that can come off the bench and get you 20, 25 if he wants. But he
don't want to.
Right. But no. He just has to be
what is it? What's the deal with that though? Like,
he has to be put in the right position to be able to do that. Now, we have had a million conversations out here in the Bay about what that is connected to. But I think the most apparent thing, whether you watch, whether you're analyzing, whether you know what's happening behind the scenes or not, you could just watch the game and see that Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga were doing a lot of the same things and occupying a lot of the same space. Right. And so that caused, it was a little bit of, I don't know who goes next. Are you going to go? I'm going to go. Oh, you're going to the mid post. I'm going to the mid post. Oh, you're going to the mid range. Oh, you're going to cook. You're going to drive. You're like, they need one of the two of them to be shooting outside more often to space the floor better, to offer some space. But either way, until we figure out, or they figure out that piece of Jonathan Kuminga, let's assume that he is on the team. I like this team. I feel strong about this team because you just talked about Stephen Curry being older, not being a spring chicken. Fair. One of the things that happens when you have a Jimmy Butler that can go get his own bucket, gravity. This is the thing that is always associated with Steph Curry. His game creates this gravity that allows everyone else to be open because people are always going to have their eyes on him. Well, Jimmy Butler warrants that level of attention too. When he is in that mid post on the baseline, people going to be looking at, oh, he's either getting to the line or he's getting a bucket. And he just has to step up his volume. And we saw him at the end of the playoffs hurt. And I think a lot of people have recency bias, and they're going to judge him based off of that. So I'm imagining everyone's healthy. People had a long off season, training camp, working out, all the above. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you make a fair point. He hurt. Fair point. He was hurt. I think because I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for you to say it, and he was like, "Well, he's going to." But like he didn't attack. He didn't attack.
He didn't.
He didn't attack.
We all saw it.
Yeah, he didn't attack.
We all saw it.
It's like all right, cool, but like he wasn't doing like it, I can remember a game in this past playoffs where it's like, oh, Kuminga scored had like a 25, 27 point. I'm like, oh,
against the Rockets, I think,
against the Rockets, and I'm like, oh, all right,
Kuminga plays very well against the Rockets. Yep.
So it's like, okay, we understand why they're holding on to him. They see what he's capable of. But I mean, I guess for me, because this wasn't his issue, but he had this issue before Butler got here. So it's like for me, what do you think?
Yeah.
What are they missing with Kuminga? What are they missing with Kuminga? Because clearly you understand. I mean, you said it to me. It's going to be an issue with Butler on the team. But that's a current problem. But like, why wasn't this unlocked earlier? Where they felt like maybe because let's be clear, if Kuminga turned up, then there's no need for Jimmy Butler. You got a younger guy who can do kind of similar things.
No, but yes, okay. I feel okay. In a way, you're right. You're absolutely right. Jimmy Butler was brought because they needed someone that could create his own shot, like badly. They
And that's
really needed
what
somebody that could
and
cook.
that's what they thought Kaminga was going to be doing, I feel like.
Sure. But Kaminga, the thing about Kaminga is he can get a bucket, he can get to the line, etc. Does he have the handle bag that Jimmy Butler has? No.
Absolutely
That's something
not.
he could develop in his game, but
Yeah.
absolutely not. He does not have the same.
And he's got time to develop that too.
And he has exactly. He has time to develop that. That's why I don't think people. That's why I think the Warriors weren't concerned. But there is a factor of one, Steve Kerr wanting to play his veterans and trusting his veterans as opposed to a Jonathan Kuminga, because it wasn't just a Jonathan Kuminga thing, right? Moses Moody went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Trey
Yeah.
Jackson Davis went through a similar thing, and so you can tell
Yeah.
certain coaches have affinities to certain players, and that happens. That's all around the NBA. There were many times in which Jonathan Kuminga was thrown out there and drops 20 plus in a game, and everyone's like, "What is happening?" Like and it was warranted. Absolutely. The question is, why haven't they figured this out? That was my question, and I still don't even have the answer. Is in that playoff series, when Jonathan Kuminga wasn't playing at the beginning of the Houston Rockets series, and then he plays in that, I think, third game or something, goes off. And in my opinion was like, if he hadn't gone off, who is to blame? Is it Jonathan Kuminga, who hadn't been playing, hadn't been put out there? Or is it on the Warriors for not putting him in position?
Saying it's the coaching.
Right, but it could be. I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying.
I'm hearing different stories, Trey. I'm hearing different. I'm hearing the streets are saying on my street, on my block, they saying it's Kuminga.
Okay, all right.
They saying on my block.
That. Yeah. Right. Some people think that, and I the work I've seen Jonathan Kuminga put in, he was shooting in the gym after these playoff games. We saw him, right? Yeah. We saw him in the gym putting the work in. Like, I don't think that he is beyond repair, or that he is beyond, we can't fix him, or we can't figure out how to use him. What happened in the playoffs is a microcosm of a larger conversation. But remember, Jonathan Kuminga was out for over a month with that that high ankle injury. Yeah. He comes into a new team that has a player that does what he does.
What he does better.
And better, for at least in terms of the length of time that he's been able to do it. Exactly. Yeah. And so I can tell, like, it was like, we don't know how to fit you right now, so we're just going to put you here until we need you. And I think that is what they need to figure out. If they're not going to trade him, you got to give him a role. And it's been too long that he's just been floating on this team, not knowing what his role is. It's not fair to him, and it's not fair to the team.
I agree that they're taking too long to figure out what to do with him, and then to bring in a guy who does what he does better than him, and then say, "Hey, we don't just get rid of him." That's where Maestro stands. I am not a night in, night out Warriors guy, but I mean, just what the games I've watched, it's just like, bro, what is he doing? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, he's just
what's the contract situation with him then? Like, what's his situation contractually?
So he kind of holds the power in this. Like, a team can come and make an offer, and then the Warriors can make that decision if they want to match that offer or not. But I mean, he's up. He's a free agent. Like, he's a restricted free agent, excuse me. So he's got that opportunity to either stay or not. But I don't know. I haven't talked to Jonathan Kuminga. I haven't heard much from his camp in the offseason so far. But there has been interest reported that the Warriors are looking to re-sign him. It would just be at a significant drop-off from what he had originally asked for, which was around in the 30s. The Warriors were reportedly talking about somewhere in the 20s. That's where they're at.
Yeah. I can see somebody paying Kuminga at his age 30. That's not the Warriors.
He's young and has now 4 years of NBA experience.
Exactly.
22 with 4 years already.
My team just took somebody off your hands, even though he just left today. But we took Jordan Poole off your hands, and you know, and So it's somebody that's
I'm excited though. I'm excited. I think Jordan Poole is going to be great for Zion, because Zion, he gets a lot of eyeballs, and you could tell it was frustrating for him to have 4 bodies on him constantly. They needed somebody that can go get their bucket, especially late in the shot clock, and boom, Jordan Poole. Shout
Jordan
out.
Poole.
That's it.
Yeah, shout out to Jordan Poole, man.
Yeah.
Something we was gonna talk about later in the
Yeah,
show,
we'll definitely get
Maestro. But
into it.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. But let's talk about the Valkyries. Let's talk about
Yep.
the Valkyries. This is where Trey takes over because, in all honesty, I have yet to become a full-fledged WNBA watcher. No
That's
real
okay.
reason. No real
That's
reason.
okay.
I'll be honest.
No
No
problem.
real reason. Um,
We gotta
but
get you on there, though. We do.
look.
I'm trying, Zena. I'm
You are
trying.
probably the 37th guest that has said we gonna get you on, and I'm gonna work on it.
Okay. That's all I
I'm
can
gonna
hear. That's
work
all
on
I
it.
can
It's
ask
a
for.
long,
You gonna
long
work on
process.
it. There you go.
Long process for this guy.
If
but,
the Mystics start winning,
here he
maybe
go.
You actually have. I'm gonna tell you right now. You have one of the teams that has the biggest upside in the WNBA.
upside. Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
that's
They had a
Absolutely.
great start. They did have
They
a great
have
start
had a
to the
great
season.
start, and they are stacked with young talent, and they
With
don't
young
even
talent,
have
yeah.
one of their rookies
Yeah.
that's available because of ACL tear. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you're in a great. There's a lot of
balling
growth.
for him.
Kiki area fans. Sonia Citron, 27 and 11 the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a lot of talent out over there, and Brittany Sykes is a player I think that you would love to watch play.
Yeah. Get yourself to a game, man.
Yeah,
Oh
she's
well,
fun.
I gotta tell you, I told my daughter I was gonna take her, so we definitely going to a Mystics
Oh,
game.
great! That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
If
we definitely
anything,
going.
whether you get a game in, your daughter's gonna fall in love. I just know.
Well, my daughter played basketball, so so yeah, we got to get it in. Yeah,
There
we
you
gotta
go.
get it in.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, I did want to bring this up, Zena. Shout out to my guy, the Wise Soul. He's
What up?
Bay Area sports fan, and I saw you have conversations on Twitter about the atmosphere at Chase Center. So they sold out. They sold out all their games pretty much.
Correct.
Right?
7 consecutive.
Yeah, that's
games.
dope for an expansion team, right?
Mhm.
So, give us a quick synopsis on how far can this team go? Like, I mean, right now they're number 6, I think, in the standings. They're gonna make the playoffs. It looks like if they keep playing this way. What's the ceiling for this team?
I think playoffs for sure. First round, I don't know. They might make it to the second. I mean, the thing about this team is that they have heart.
Yeah.
And they've got grit and they've got a chip on their shoulder. Everyone, as you started this whole thing, surprising, right? They're 7 and 6 right now. People are surprised by this. They're not, though, because I think what always kind of gets missed when it comes to the WNBA, if you are a bench player in the WNBA, you are phenomenal. Like, you're still great. This league is so small and there's so little roster spots. You are still amongst the top basketball players in the world.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so you go get a team and you comprise a team full of players like that. People that are the 6 women of their teams elsewhere, could be a starter if they were on a different team. You go get all of that and you go put them on one team and you give them this. I mean, I don't know if they gave them this narrative, but you give them this narrative of like, people don't believe in you. People don't think you're good enough.
Yeah.
Imagine the type of hustle, heart, grit, effort, everything that you're going to get out of those type of players. It is so indicative that this is how they want to show up.
Yeah.
Their whole thing right now, they are based in defense. I think they're top 8th in defensive rating. Their offense isn't that great, but the most important part of their offense, transition.
Yeah.
They get a steal, which they lead the league in steals, and they turn you over and they go the other way. They actually, I think they're like in the top 3 in terms of unassisted buckets because of that. They're getting steals and they're going the other way. That's their essence. They want to turn you over. They want to speed you up. They want to play physical with you. They're leading the league in protecting the paint, and they're not the tallest team. That is effort. That is heart. That is hustle. Yeah. And so I think that is one of the main reasons that they're playing so well is that they're just making things so difficult for everyone else. If there was any team that really showed you how do you guard Caitlin Clark, Tip Hayes and Kayla Thornton just gave you an entire tape.
Yeah.
Force her right. Pick her up. If she goes left, put that ball up. It's the Caitlin Clark rules, the new Jordan rules. Like they established that. And then New York literally is New York replicated it. Las Vegas has replicated it. Like everyone's starting to see how to guard someone else. But the team that did it the best, were the
Yeah.
Valkyries. And you're
Had
seeing this. They did the same thing to Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson still got her points, don't get me wrong, but she didn't
Yeah.
do what she typically does against teams. Most of her points came from the free throw line as opposed to her, maneuvering in the paint and being able to score in that way. And so everything about the Valkyries screams effort. And that's why they have done so well so far. And that's why I think they absolutely are going to make the playoffs. It's going to be a matter of, are they going to be, in the top half of the playoffs versus the bottom half? But what's really scary, I'll tell y'all, the really scary part about the Valkyries is that they don't even have their team together yet.
Yeah.
4 players, 3 starters, and their number 1 backup point guard, 4 players are in Eurobasket right now. And they just won the last 5 of their 6 games, missing a lot of those players. They also have 2 players that haven't even joined the team yet in Ileana Rupert and Maria Condé. Ileana Rupert was on that France team that took it almost to the buzzer with Team USA at the Paris Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was a major part of that team. So there's still talent we haven't even really tapped into out here in the Bay. And so I think that that's really exciting for the Valkyries as an expansion team. It sets a standard. I know Toronto and Portland are looking like, ooh, let's see what happens next year.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's exciting.
Yeah, that's dope. And I mean, it's to the point where my man Pods is trolling Caitlin on the sideline in that one game. In that one game. But I think you make some great points, Zena. And I think in addition to having, some good, role players, bench players, is that when you can get good coaching minds from other teams that have that championship, DNA, like I know they got a couple of coaches off the Vegas staff, and I think that matters too. That matters when you combine all that together, combined with the players that can play with that grit and that heart. I mean, you see what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Natalie Nakase, not only her whole pedigree coming up under Becky Hammond, a championship level coach, back-to-back championship level coach, but also she was in the film room. This is the coach that constantly and consistently watches film because she started doing that from her experience with the Clippers on the NBA side. So her entire lineage is all about, let me break this down analytically. Let me figure this out. People, might have comments about the fact that she has a let it fly mentality. She's telling her team, put the 3 ball up. I do not care. If it's open, shoot it. Even if your percentage is down, I don't care. Put it up. Right. She's watching a film. She has a reason for that. Her defense is the way it is because she's watching a film to figure it out. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I know people have thoughts around being able to hire a lot of older WNBA players. I'm all for that. But I also believe that there's value to have older WNBA players that have coached as well. Right, that have experience coaching in some capacity, because you're seeing that now with Natalie Nakase. You're seeing that with Carl Smesco that came from Florida Gulf Coast at Atlanta and what he's done. But you know what Carl Smesco did? He brought in former WNBA players and WNBA coaches to join his staff. These GMs are making these decisions, and they have to be incredibly careful about who are you bringing in? Do they have the right mindset? And are they humble enough to say, I don't know enough in this area? Let me bring the right people in. And Natalie Nakase has also done that too.
For sure.
Some dope stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maestro.
No, I was going to say.
Oh, and also GM Ohemanianen just won a championship with the Liberty. And she was behind
right.
getting Jonquel Jones to New York, getting Brianna Stewart to New York. So it's just, again, through the lineage.
Yeah, for sure. We know you was here for a good time, but not a long time. So we appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us. Let everybody know where they can find you. If you want to plug anything, this would be the time to do it.
If you want to talk women's basketball, I am on No Off Season, the Athletic Women's Basketball Show. If you want to talk the NBA, I'm on the NBA Daily, the Athletic NBA Show. And if you're in the Bay and you're trying to get that Valkyries coverage, pregame, postgame, halftime, I'm on CBS K-Pix. Thanks, y'all, for having me.
For sure. We appreciate you. And we definitely want to see you in the NBA season as well, when the Warriors, getting into whatever they're going to get into. So we definitely look forward to seeing you and coming back on the show, and we see you in these internet streets for sure.
Yeah, Absolutely. This was dope. This was
Thank you
dope,
guys.
Zena. We
Yes.
Of
appreciate your time. I
course.
know we kept you a little longer than we
All
should
good.
have,
I'm keeping
but
up with Las Vegas, Chicago right here. That's
all
all I'm
right.
trying to watch. But you're good. You're good. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, no
Absolutely. You be
doubt.
safe
No
out
doubt.
there.
Thanks, y'all.
All
Bye.
right. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. That was Ms. Zena Keita of the NBC Sports Network in the Bay Area. Also covers the Golden State Valkyries for the CBS affiliate up there. Yeah, some amazing points made by her, man. Good stuff, coming from her. So yeah, the
I just
trade.
want to give.
You
I just want to. No, before we get it, I guess I know we was all on basketball, but I just want to get this out the way before I forget. But I wanted to make it
Yep.
known. I just wanted to be known in case anybody didn't know. Aaron Rodgers was on I guess he was on Pat McAfee or something today or earlier today, and he went on to tell them, much like we thought, that this is going to be his last year. He's only playing for 1 year. Um, let's make the best of it, or whatever the quote was. you know, but hey, man, much like we thought, I don't really have any more. I just like to point out when I'm right. It's not like I think we're going to the Super Bowl this year, but shout out to Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, just get us out of a playoff game. If you're gonna retire, get us out of a playoff game. Get us one win at least, so we can get this bad stench off my coach record.
You know what pissed me off about that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to the radio. I'm listening to New York sports radio, and the host, every time there's like breaking news, they always blow this horn, whatever. So they blow the horn in the background, and I'm assuming, because I've been saying for some time now, I think the Knicks are going to hire a coach, over these next couple of days before the draft. So I'm assuming, okay, here we go. The Knicks found their guy. Let's see what's up, who it is, whatever. And they bring up, Aaron Rodgers is on Pat McAfee, and he's saying that this is it for him. And I'm like, really, y'all rung the bell for that shit? Like, I don't care about that, man.
Yeah, nah, for real. We definitely do not care about that, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, especially because over here we knew it was finna happen. So yeah, we definitely don't care about that. But I like pointing out that I'm right, and I was right. Any thoughts on the Lakers? Back to the NBA, I guess.
yep.
Any thoughts on the Lakers being bought out by the cat that run the Guggenheim or whatever? I forget the dude's name.
I don't know the name. I know the Lakers were sold. That I
Yeah,
do.
$10 billion,
No.
the most money a sports team has ever been bought out for in history, for obvious
Yep.
reasons.
Yep.
Out yeah.
Yep.
Shout
More
out
than
to
the Cowboys, I guess, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, shit. The Lakers was bought for 67 million, I think, in the 80s.
No,
So I
not
mean,
67 million. Not 67 million.
you sure? Because I'm pretty sure it was 67 million. They was bought in the 80s. In the 80s.
Oh, in the eight. Oh, okay.
In the
Okay.
80s for 67
Okay.
million, and now they're
67
being
million?
yeah, and then they
Whoa.
were being
Okay.
bought, and then they were bought out in 2025
Okay.
for $10 billion. I
Okay.
mean, you talk about the type of money you made, from a
Yeah.
$67 million
And that's a
investment.
and that's a mom and pop,
Yeah,
ownership group. Like, the Bus family,
they
that's
borrowed a lot of money.
yeah, right. That's mom and pop stuff right there. So, but I did hear that Genie still kind of gonna govern certain decisions with the team and all that, but the majority of the stake of the team will be with the new guy. So,
Yeah,
Genie Bus will still be in capacity, and I'm sure Magic Johnson, even though he be giving you inklings that he's not like part of the group and stuff, I still feel like that nigga be making some decisions like under the table for the Lakers. Just my opinion, but
yeah. I don't know. What I do, I know this dude. I can't remember. I can't imagine why I didn't write his name down when I was writing this. Writing that headline down. But
mhm.
I think he had already owned like somewhere around 20% of the team. But I think he just
Mm.
up the shares or whatever.
What makes sense?
this dude got like $475 billion in businesses. So
Because
you
he
know,
also has some ownership in the Dodgers. Also,
yes,
I forgot to
yes,
mention that too.
yes,
So
yes.
he's got that ownership where they just won the championship last year. They won one several years ago. You know, they're one of the richest baseball teams in the well, not one
Mm.
of, they are. And
Yeah.
and I hate to say that, you know, as a Yankees fan, but they're just spending money and not giving a damn about what anybody thinks about it. So yeah, this is good. Like this is a good thing for those LA, you know, area sports teams right there. Um, you know, Luca came out and was like, "Look, I'm looking forward to getting to work and trying to, you know, get to a championship and all those great things." Um, they still got to get you under contract, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You still got some, you know, some money left on this whole deal. So, you know, but I'm positive. I could say with confidence that chances are the Lakers are gonna pony up that money for
Oh,
Luca.
yeah.
That there's no way they're just letting him go anywhere else. That's not happening.
How many years you think LeBron gonna play?
I think he plays one more year.
Okay. Okay.
I think he gives one more shot at it.
Okay. I
But
saw that. I saw that in a. I was scrolling and I
mhm,
saw a poll asking how many years do they think LeBron should would play, and it was an interesting thought to me because
mhm.
obviously like skill wise, he ain't dropped. He ain't he's still right there. Maybe effort wise he don't necessarily want to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Mhm.
kind of the same runaround, but skill wise
Yeah.
obviously he still know how to play basketball with the best of them at his old age. So I was curious of how you thought it felt about that. I mean, at some point you kind of got to pass the torch.
And he's gonna have a farewell tour. I'm sure
Yeah.
that he's gonna make an announcement at the start of the season saying, "Hey, this is my last year," and you know, "Hey, when y'all see me on the road, come out to these games." I think
Mm.
that's how this is gonna be. So,
So you think he
but
gonna make
yeah,
an announcement in the summertime or before the season?
hmm hmm
Okay. Okay.
I think so. I think that's gonna happen, man. And if it is, um,
Hell of a career.
a pleasure, a hell of a
Have
career,
a
a
yeah.
pleasure to watch this cat do what he does, man.
I mean, it's safe to say is the best career, not the best player, the best career,
Best, I would say best career.
not the best player.
I would say best career. That's a short list too,
Yeah.
because Kareem, and I didn't watch Kareem
Right.
live, but you know he put in some work too in
I
the
mean,
league.
20 years at this level,
Hmm
ain't nothing to sneeze at.
No, for sure, for sure. Again, a short list of players that have played 20 plus years, you know, in their respective sport. That's, you know, it's unheard of, you know, around certain circles. So, but
Yeah,
you know, shout out to the Lakers, man.
for sure.
They doing what they doing, man. All right, man. Your Wizards made some news today. uh,
Oddly enough, I feel like the Pelicans made the news and the Wizards was just the other end of the
they
story.
just a side
Yeah,
story.
yeah. That's what it felt like when I saw things popping up on my phone. It was like the Pelicans get Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey and a number 40 a pick. But
Yep.
my thoughts on it honestly, I've been reading a lot of headlines about how the Wizards, and me and you talked about this Sunday, how the Wizards are looking to maybe move up to go get a
They move up to number two,
number
number three, something
two.
like
Yeah,
that.
somewhere and to get I want to say his name is Trey. Don't give me the line about the dude name,
I
but
know who you're talking about, though. I
yeah,
can't think of his
but
name either.
they
But
but I think this trade kind of solidifies in my mind that they're definitely looking to trade up and try to get their next, because
hmm
when me and you talked about it, it was like for real, bro. Go get Queen.
yeah,
You got a good point in Bub Currington. You got a scorer in Jordan Poole. Like
hmm
let Koulibaly and Sarr develop. You can put them at
yep,
2 and 3, and you got a nice young nucleus team. And you
yep.
got Marcus
You got a
Smart coming
vet,
off the bench.
and
You
you right,
got
and you got
yeah
a
you
vet. They just gave Middleton some money.
Yeah,
They
but I think
picked up an
Middleton is
option.
staying. Yeah, like I said,
Yep.
Middleton is plans on staying. And I know last week I was, maybe not on the train that he might stay, but he's a
Mhm.
good bench piece. So,
Yeah.
you know, but bringing in CJ McCollum and Olenek, it's good. They're good bench pieces. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
mixture. It's a mixture
Yeah.
of young cats with old vets.
Yeah,
Like I
so
like that.
so
I like
so
that.
I like the idea of it. I'm still concerned about what they're gonna do. Not concerned, but I don't know. For me, if we can still somehow pull off Derek Queen, I think we kind of forfeited that maybe with giving up the number 10 overall. But
Mhm.
but if some way we could end up getting Queen, um, and getting this top notch guard that they're maybe trying to trade up for. I don't
Yeah.
see how they could trade up for it now, but this guy has been putting in work in that front office. I'd be honest with you, he's been making moves and making some things shake that maybe
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to make shake. But if he can make that happen, man, that would be good. But this move just says to me they are planning to get a top scoring type guard to partner up with Bub Carrington.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. We probably are going to turn into more of a running team. We probably want to turn into more of a running team for this next season. That just solidifies that for me. Does that change us into a play-in team maybe or a top six
I say
seed?
definitely yes. I'm calling it right now.
Um, I want
I'm
to see
calling it
what
right
we
now.
I want to see what we do in the draft first.
Mhm.
Tomorrow's the draft. I want to see what
Yep.
happens if we actually do get the trade up and get and get one of these guards in the
Yeah.
draft, one of the top guards in the draft.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens there before I start to making
Yeah.
predictions.
I,
But CJ McCollum is going to be a good depth
that's
piece.
solid, man.
A
That's
guy
solid.
a guy that can start if it needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not mad at it. I just wasn't expecting it.
Mhm.
But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I think this is a playing team. I think when you look at how the Eastern Conference is shaping out to be with the injuries to Tatum, Dame, and now Tyrese Halliburton, and I still think those teams are going to be like good teams, like playoff contending teams. I don't think those teams are going to like fall off the map, and I guess we still got to see what happens with Giannis with the
I think
Milwaukee
that,
Bucks.
and I think the Celtics. I think if for just this season, I think the Celtics take a dip.
I think they contend for the playoffs though.
Okay, okay.
So
Like
what I mean by contending for playoffs, they might get the fifth seed, the sixth seed, like in that range. Like
I
I
might
think
be
they're still good enough for that.
I might be willing to without Tatum, without Porzingis,
Yeah.
without Drew Holiday, who went to the Trailblazers. I'm willing to put them down to like 7, 8 seed.
Okay, that's a hot take.
Yeah, I'm willing to
Uh,
put them down to 7, 8 seed. I'm willing to put them there.
hmm That might. Where would you put the Pacers
Shit,
without
Pacers.
Halliburton?
Yeah. Well, we don't. I guess we got to kind of rule him out for the year. I guess, huh?
Man, ain't no guessing. He's not gonna
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
He's not gonna play.
Um.
So
Oh well, shit. I don't know that they. I don't want to be that way, but I don't know if they made the playoffs without him, man.
like
They might be.
completely, like entirely.
They might be a playing team. They might be a playing team.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I
They
could
might
see
be a
that.
play-in team. I think this again. Once again, this East is wide open once again.
Yeah.
Which not to open up a wound or open up a rabbit hole to another conversation, which is why, man. I just totally disagree with that whole that whole Thibodeau thing. But no need to go back there.
So the fan base that I've been seeing on the timeline that's been kind of coming out of nowhere, um, the Sixer fans have been kind of like, "Ooh, the East is wide open. We still got Joel Embiid. We still got Paul George and Tyrese Maxey." Like, I mean, and you
that
kind of gotta think about it. You gotta think about it. Like, if all things go right, meaning like those guys is healthy.
Oh,
They
sure.
don't miss a lot of games.
Sure.
That team is a playoff team.
That team is a playoff team. I don't
That's a
disagree there.
playoff
I
team.
don't disagree there. I do not disagree if everybody stays healthy. That is definitely a playoff team. 100%.
And what's that kid, McLean, that was, starting for them early in the year before he got hurt too. Like, yeah, they get those guys back.
They're a
Like,
playoff team. 100%.
they're a playoff team now. Finals contender.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Knicks are still there.
It's for me, it's Knicks, it's Cleveland, and I'm putting Detroit right there.
Okay.
Like those are the top three.
Okay.
In the East for me.
For next season.
For next season, yeah.
Yeah.
Orlando, yeah, you got Desmond Bain. That's cool. You get Mo Wagner back.
I don't care about no damn Desmond Bain. I'm
they
sorry.
They don't got a point guard.
Yeah.
They don't got a point guard. I'm not believing in Orlando right now. I mean, will they be better?
They'll be in the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not even 100% sure of that. I mean, like, they were a 7 seed. A 7 seed, okay.
They were 7 seed. They could finish 5.
So I guess if they finish 5, that's an improvement from the year
they had
before.
Injuries. Like they legit had injuries.
That's true.
I just don't like the way they run their offense, without having a true number one, a true point guard. That's my thing with them. But this East is, and who knows what's gonna happen with Milwaukee. You still think Giannis is going somewhere?
I do.
I don't know, man. It's starting to look like he's gonna return.
What makes you feel that way? So what happened?
No noise. Like it's kind of quiet. It's and yes, I get it. Like we're seeing stuff that we're not expecting right now. Like we'll get into this Porzingis trade.
The draft is tomorrow. Like
the draft, that's true. That's true. The draft could, spark some stuff too. We'll see. But you and I know that Giannis leaves Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a lottery team. Complete, period.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah. So, Porzingis was in a 3-team trade between Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So Porzingis and a 2nd-round pick gets traded to the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 pick goes to the Nets, and Georges Niang and a 2nd-round pick goes to the Celtics. I think the bigger piece of this story is the Porzingis thing,
obviously,
because of the Boston, connection and all that. Him and Trey Young in Atlanta.
Interesting.
That could be interesting. That could be interesting, but it's like the whole thing with Porzingis, man. It's always something with him health-wise.
Yeah.
But if he plays 60-something games and, Trey Young, like that's interesting. Like
that's interesting.
That could be something
that's interesting. And it's, again, especially this year specifically with the Celtics, who I believe are going to take a step back. I don't think the Magic are necessarily going to take a step back, but the Magic are, they don't scare you if you got a guy like Porzingis and a guy like Trey Young on the Hawks team. They don't scare you. The Magic don't necessarily scare you.
And when Trey Young decides he going to pull up from 3 or decide I'm going to take over a game, he could do that.
Yeah, but and more than that, like, just a guy who can score the ball in Porzingis. You know that dude can score the ball, and he's not going to be in Trey Young's way to stop Trey Young from scoring the ball. So it's like,
I think Atlanta gets better on defense with Porzingis also, because Porzingis can change a game real quickly if you get him in transition. You get him blocking shots, you get him scoring the other way. Like he can do that for you. So that Atlanta got better defensively with this.
For sure.
Did we miss any other trades?
I don't know if we did, but we do need to. Why is the Nuggets owner mentioning without any prompting? Why is he mentioning the possibility of trading Joker? What's your thoughts? You got it. We can't ignore it.
So I think it was foolish to mention it. I understand he was trying to explain how the second apron works.
Okay.
Given with, some of their guys got hurt. Michael Porter Jr. had some injuries. Aaron Gordon suffered some injuries. And I think there's a couple other guys that they're worried about as far as whether they're going to be able to keep them or not. So I understand the explanation. And I think I've kind of learned what the second apron does by him, disclosing this information. Right. But no, you don't put that out there. And if I am the Knicks or if I am some other team that looks at Joker and says, yo, this dude can put us over the top, I am making the phone call right now.
Yeah.
I am making the Nuggets tell me hell no. Click, hang the phone up.
And then I'm still calling you back and emailing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With a couple of voicemails.
like what are we doing? What are we
What's
doing?
good? What's
what
good,
are we
man?
doing? You got to call, say I'm tampering. You got to hit me with
If I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I got these picks from the McHale trade.
Yeah.
Hey, Denver, what's good? What's goody?
I mean, but I mean, what's compensation look like nowadays? Because Kevin Durant, again, my favorite player right now, but 2 players, a first and 5 second round picks. That's for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You giving up. you are essentially mortgaging. Let's be clear. You're mortgaging your future. Any team.
Yep.
You're mortgaging your future for Joker.
10 years worth of picks.
Yeah. Like you're mortgaging. You're done. You better have what you need to get to the finals and to win a championship. Because if you don't, you ain't going to get there, and you're going to be in some salary cap bullshit or some you're going to be on some bullshit. Like there's no way you're going to be able to bring in people. I mean, I guess depending on where you are, if Miami was to get Joker, and I'm just not saying they need him or got space for him. I'm just saying, in an example, you can attract maybe people to come and play in Miami.
Yeah,
but
Miami should make that deal in a heartbeat. Because what I've been hearing coming out of Miami, they didn't want to give up that kid Vasquez for Durant. Because Miami was on Durant also, and the story was that they didn't want to give up that kid Highsmith and Vasquez for Kevin Durant, and I'm like, wait, that's it?
Right.
That's it?
So because that means Tyler Hero's still on the team,
Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, like what?
Those are guys you know. All right, I mean,
what?
I guess.
Boy, that Heat culture blinded some people over
there. They got some long days. They got some tough days ahead of them. The Miami Heat do.
Yeah, I've heard stories, or I've heard people say that Pat Riley should step down. And maybe he's kind of losing it.
It seems stagnant. It definitely seems stagnant down there. I ain't gonna lie. It definitely seems stagnant down there.
Yeah. I give that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Freaking
Yeah.
The hell, man.
I don't know, man. But I don't know. Because they need a primary scorer. You telling me Kevin Durant don't... Come on, man.
Yeah, and then he can attract other players. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What are we
doing? That's
crazy. If you're Miami, what are you doing?
Yeah,
in this conference next
season? And this conference wide the fuck open.
This
dog.
Conference, it's gonna be
crazy. Wide open, dog.
It's gonna be crazy. But the Knicks legit gonna go through the draft without a coach. Like that's got me tripping right now.
Yeah.
They might hire a dude on draft day, bro.
Wouldn't be.
Or you mentioned it, like crazy things happen on draft night. Them niggas might trade for a coach on draft night.
I can't. You can't do that. Ain't there some rule against trading for coaches or some shit like that?
Well, Doc Rivers got traded from the Celtics to the Clippers.
Sure.
So no, there's nothing against it. The compensation and the way you maybe go about it might be different.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't a coach involved in the alleged when they were trying to trade Chris Paul to the Lakers all them years ago?
The coach wasn't involved.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
The key there, and I keep telling people this. David Stern in the league owned the Hornets at the time. Like, so when remember when he vetoed that trade to Chris Paul to the Lakers, he vetoed it because they had control of the Hornets at the time. They didn't have an owner yet. Like, they didn't have, ownership that could make that decision other than David Stern at the time. So
right.
That's, people kind of miss that, but there's always conspiracy theory going on, especially when David Stern was around.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, I'm hungry, man. I'm getting ready to get up on out of here. But
I told myself, because I had a late lunch, that I was not going to be hungry by the time I got off this podcast, and lo and behold, here we are.
Here we go. Folks, man, I keep telling y'all about these snapback trucker hats, the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast trucker hat. Scan the QR code and DM me on the IG and let me know if you want a hat. I could get it set up for you, have it shipped right over to you, and all that good stuff. And plus, we got some t-shirts. And y'all, it was nice in the city, in New York City on Sunday. It was nice. It was rainy, but rain kind of helped out a little bit. It was, temperature pretty moderate, but it is getting hot right now. I mean, my dashboard said 100 degrees yesterday, Maestro. It's we here, man. Summer is officially here, bro.
Why not rep your favorite podcast?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Copper tea, y'all. We got blue, we got black, white, gray, navy blue. We got the colors. Click this QR code, scan it. Let us know what you want, man. We'll get something shipped off over to you. And then I did want to premiere this new hat here. This is the red, white, and blue Barbershop Sports Talk podcast trucker hat. I'll put that on a QR scan, a little later, and get that promoted. But I got a bunch of these, y'all. There's some cool hats. Shout me a DM. Let me know if you want one. I'll get one in a box mailed over to you quickly, and be no problems after that.
Yes, sir.
But big shout out to Zena Keita for coming through. That was a dope conversation with her.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out to folks in the IG live chat. More Insight Show. I see you in the IG live chat.
What up?
My boy Y Soul was in the YouTube live chat.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. Continue to follow us, folks. We got the Facebook page. We also on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Also on the IG at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We got Twitch and we got the YouTube channel. So subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend. Let them know. Also, if you want to email us, you got questions or comments, barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com is where you can reach us at. And if you're listening to us on any of these audio platforms, Spotify, Google Play, Apple, iHeartRadio, drop us a review. Let us know what you think about the show. It goes a long way. And, bro, if you got nothing else to say, man, I'm ready to get to this kitchen and tear some food up, bro.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh, yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing